You are live. I've just seen a little label come up right in the center of the screen. That's great news. This is, of course, very, very predictable now of Mark Bajerski, extremely predictable. Why doesn't he ever give us any notification? Well, even if I did, you wouldn't see it. I'm being shadow banned. So this is for those on replay. And if anybody's here to join me in the next half hour to an hour, I'll welcome you all with open arms and a great big hug. So tonight's topic, I think it's something that is relevant as a healer. So if any healers are on here, this might help a little bit just to refresh your understanding of dis-ease and all the uncomfortable energies that come with negative emotion, negative energies, bad energies around us, and more so the energies that are trapped within us. So we're talking tonight root cause, and it's very rare that anybody tackles root cause. Anybody talks about root cause. They talk about the aftermath, the problem. Oh, look at my problem. Yeah, but that wasn't the root cause. That is your body, or that is your energy releasing. The two are very similar. The physical and the emotional are very similar, because your body is boiling. Your body is erupting physically, like Mount Vesuvius. And eventually it's just going to burst it out of your body one way or another. And of course, that happens in so many ways, but that's not the root cause. You getting angry with somebody, that's not the root cause. You know, in general, when you think about it, somebody's unlucky to feel that this is the last straw of my frustration throughout the whole of the day, the week, the month, of the year. And I'm sorry, but you got it. You got the Mount Vesuvius. You are the punch bag for me, but you're not the root cause. And, you know, understanding that as a healer, it really does help your long-term suffering when people attack you. Because if I didn't know this, if I didn't learn this, I'd be a wreck right now. I'd be a mess, because I just think, what's wrong with me? Why does everybody hate me? Why does everybody attack me? When you realize the root cause to all of these people who say the nasty things, and whenever I post or I mention people saying nasty things, that's just a reminder of themselves, not particularly me, but more so a reminder to all the people who get attacked every day that, hey, look, this is very normal, but also we have to recognize that these people are in a bad place. And last night was a beautiful thing that we did. A lot of us forgave those angry people who are in such a bad place, traumatized with deep, deep, deep rooted issues. So good evening, everybody. There's a few on, 41 beautiful souls. Welcome. I've been shadow banned for a long, long time. You've heard me say most conversations, but at least some of you managed to get on, and that's a beautiful thing. So we're talking root cause. So now that we understand that eventually the body, both physically and emotionally, will erupt like Mount Vesuvius, it's got to release one way or another, because if not, then it becomes really, really, really challenging to clear. And those challenges in twofold challenges. One is physically, which is normally cancer. That's normally when your body hasn't been able to reject it. It's just stored it until it gets that big. That now you've got it all over your body, you know. And the other one is connected very much to the physical. And I often say this, you know, if you've got deep trauma, it will eventually turn out not only to affect you in your daily life and your daily actions and your reactions, but it is connected absolutely to the physical. So ultimately, the only solution to all of this is finding the root cause of dis-ease or discomfort to yourself. The discomfort is how you feel about things and how things affect you. And it's normally the reaction, which is the negative reaction that we're looking for, which is brilliant. It's kind of like a Clouseau. No, it's not. Cato Clouseau. No, that's no, definitely not like that. It's like Sherlock Holmes a little bit, and it really is a beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing if you start studying this, because most people won't go there. They won't study it. They won't look at it. They won't even give it a moment's thought. So it's really, really interesting when you start to heal people. You start to find issues with, like a common one for me was the breast. If ever somebody had problems with the breast, it normally relates to a relationship, a relationship, close relationship. It could be a close sister or a partner. I always found that there was issue there. So root cause. So where do we go? I mean, I can give you examples like that one and many, many others. With the eyes, I've talked about this before, with your reactions to how you react to what could be the root cause. So maybe we can look at that, and I'll give you some pointers. Okay, so first of all, there's nothing wrong with you at all. That's the first thing you've got to know. You've got to know there's nothing wrong with you. The only thing that you have is a memory of something that was either a shock energy or a repetitive energy. Repetitive meaning that your mum and dad love you very much, but they want you to be better than they are. So they try and repeat something over and over or do something over and over. However, we as children, we mimic our parents. So it doesn't matter what they tell us or what they try and show us what to do. We watch them and we mimic them. So that's kind of part of our memory. So for me, I'm quick to react when I feel somebody's behaving like a teacher, which to me, a teacher, I'm used to as a child, as teacher with obnoxious, egoistic, belittling, and so on. Those kind of energies, ready to get a slap or thrown out of classroom. So I was used to that. That was what I saw. So you relate the two. Just like if a Chinese man punched you in the face, you'd walk out of that door, and if you saw another Chinese man, you would worry about being punched in the face. Not that another Chinese man would ever punch you in the face, but you relate to what you've felt or seen. So for me, I have to work very hard at the root cause, which is the trauma of how teachers behaved in front of me. So I have to try and stop myself from reacting when I see somebody who I think is trying to belittle me. It brings back memory without even knowing. And that memory is deep. It's hidden inside. It can take a lifetime to clear, and you have to work at it. So you can understand that most people don't want to work at things. They want it fixed. So they might go to a healer of modalities, and they might have a healing session where they put them under hypnosis, and then they're okay, or they have a healing session, they feel better. That's definitely part of the healing process, but I don't think it heals the root cause. I think it's a combination of different things, because often I heard this. And I don't mean this to sound awful, but I often heard when I was a healer with other people that this healer fixed me in one session. And I'd be like, and if somebody said that about me, I'd be like, I'm not so sure about that. Did I really? Did it really? And you look across the years and you see those very same people and you realize that they weren't fixed. They were just excited at the moment that they thought they were fixed and they wanted to believe they were fixed. And then they reverted back to the same issue because it was just a partial clearing, but the root cause was we still had, let's say, a long way to go, but we tapped into it. We tapped into it and we're starting to clean it away now, clear it away. So I was always reluctant to say, oh, they're fixed in one healing session. But some people claim that they were. And they might have been at that point, but it could be 3 or 4. I mean, I know one, I used to work on a lot of children. And one child, one beautiful little, beautiful boy who came to me with his mum, and he had massive issues. And one healing session, and she went round telling everybody, my son isn't the same boy anymore. He's not erratic. He's not angry. He's changed. But then about 5 or 6 years later, it came back again. He went back to that very same energy. So I'm reluctant to say something is fixed and healed in one session. So I do believe it takes time. Root cause takes time to clear and figure out. So my root cause of my reaction to how I am to somebody who reminds me of my old teachers, they're going to get the wrath of the way they behave. And if I didn't have that, if I didn't go through that, and I had a really good relationship with my teachers as a kid, and a teacher came across like that and was obnoxious, I don't think I would be as reactive. So it's definitely, the root cause is definitely attached to trauma. For sure it is. So that would be an emotional trauma for me. So that's that. I react to men who hit women, women who hit children, men or women, again, who hit animals. I react very bad because my dad was an utter arsehole in the sense that he hated cats. Now, we couldn't have a dog, but I was allowed a cat for some reason. And that man used to kick my Bonnie out of that door so hard with his foot that I used to cry. And I used to cry, but I used to have this shock energy. This cat didn't do anything wrong to him. This cat never hurt him. And of course, my dad was filled with rage because he hated his job. So he came home in anger. And with all this anger, he himself needed to release this anger. And he became Mount Vesuvius on the cat, or us. I would rather him have hit me than hit the cat. So, and it's funny because then the older the cat became, it became so aggressive that it used to fight dogs in our garden. Any stray dog that came in, it would just jump on them, and the dogs would, like, it doesn't matter if they were Alsatians, it would just jump and attack on all the dogs and chase them out. So even the cat then became aggressive through being kicked nearly every night. So yeah, that's very personal, but really that's why I get really reacting when I see somebody hurt an animal. So some of my clients who used to come, they wanted to know why they always had an ongoing headache. It was a constant headache, and it was nothing to do with computers then. There would be mums, predominantly mums, that would come to me that didn't work in an office, didn't work next to a computer, didn't have a telephone, phones like we had. So I remember back then, one of the things that I found was the women that had headaches, they normally had children, and we looked at their root cause of headaches, and the headache would be attached to issues with the eyes, issues with the jaw, depending. If it's just a really heavy ongoing headache. So there's two energies here, and one you've not got to mistake it for the other. So I'll give you a great example. A lady came with migraines, severe migraines. Normally she had to shut all the doors, windows, and just lay down in pitch black. That was quite a common thing back then. And some of my clients it would relate to some of my clients of what they put into their mouth. So I would often ask them, are you eating something that triggers this? And then they'd say no. And I'd say, well, would you go away and next time you have an headache, would you write down what you had to eat the day before and the day that it happens? And chocolate was actually a culprit to quite a few of these things. So when we talk about the root cause, that in fairness can be the trigger as the root cause of that. It could be something as simple as chocolate. But then there's people with headaches that just get headaches and absolutely don't touch chocolate. So then we look a little bit deeper. What is it within the headache that you get, and why does it start? So instead of writing down what food it was, because now we eliminated food and it isn't the chocolate, it isn't a certain food, we look at the same thing but not in a physical in your mouth. It's now emotion. What happened that day and the day before for it to trigger? What did you do differently? And a lot of the times you'd find that they were triggered by an emotion that caused a headache. So that the trigger of the emotion was, let's say, the husband who got drunk and aggressive, and that triggered an emotion that hurt one of my clients. So it always happened when there was a really bad situation in the house. The other one was a lady who used to come monthly, and her headaches always came round about the 28th. I always remember this one, 28th, 29th, and then the start of the month. And I said, you keep coming to me at the end of the month. Did you think about that? She says, no, do I? I said, yeah, you've been to me 3 times now, and you only come to me on the 28th, 29th, 30th, round about them dates. I just was looking at it. I don't know why I looked at it, but I just figured out, oh, you always come at the end of the month with an headache. I said, so you didn't have an headache on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and right? And then we figured out a headache was the fear of a job and not getting paid at the end of the month because she worked down the road at a really scumbag company, which were on the Costa del Sol, which is Costa del Crime. And trust me when I tell you, the jobs here are hard to get, and they're all, let's say, really bad when you're trying to make a living, and they really rip you off. So you don't know whether you're gonna get paid, or whether they've done a runner, or whether they just get rid of you. So that was figured out, and then you start looking at headaches as well as, well, when did the headache start? When did the migraine start? So you can look at that as well by looking at when it started. It could have been, I've had them forever. I can't remember when I didn't have them. Okay, so we eliminate the food. We eliminate the end of the month or trauma of that. So what could it be? What could be the root cause of this? And funnily enough, the root cause for some of my clients with massive migraine was their mother migraine. It was like the relationship with the mother was so fueled that your head is going to explode. And the trigger is mother. So when you think about your mother, when you are triggered by what reminds you of your mother and your confrontation with your mother, it can cause a migraine too. These are just some of the things. There's so many more. Cancer is another one which I could delve deep with you guys for a month on cancer and my understanding of cancer and why cancer comes and all of these things. And I've seen it cleared from people, many people. I've seen miracles, and I've seen people just finish, just die and move back home into the light. It's like just takes over their body, the whole of their body. The one thing I do believe, and my mum died of cancer at 45, so my sister feared getting to 45 because she thought she was going to die at 45 of cancer. I remember this as a kid. She was saying it. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's hereditary. It's hereditary, which she was a nurse, so she was in the system. So she believed what the doctors say. So it's hereditary. I know a lot of people whose mums and dads died, and those people didn't get cancer. So I don't believe it's that. I do believe, though, it is related to the shock, the cause of the suffering and pain which begins to manifest, and it becomes like a cesspit in the body, and you create a really, really healthy or unhealthy place for the cancer to grow. So let me try and explain in the way that a healer would explain, if they're really truly healers and they understand this. If you are a workman, right? If you're a workforce and you're trying to keep a garden clean, we'll just use a garden as an expression, meaning that your beautiful body temple, you're going to work on all that garden. And if there's any crap anywhere, right, you're going to take that rubbish and you're going to throw it somewhere where you're not going to interfere with the rest of the body, the rest of the garden, right? Because you want the garden to look nice. So what you do is you look for a place where it's a mess there, and it's not a nice place, so it doesn't matter because it's a mess anyway. So I see that your trauma, whatever your trauma is, that part of your divine body is dirty already. It's mucky. It's got this dark energy. So if there is any kind of physical poison, and poisons can be many things that you put into your body, plastics without knowing. You could put into your body chemicals of literally thousands of different chemicals that they put into your food. All of these things the gardener takes and they're kind of weeds, and he throws them. I don't like the word weed because there's no such thing as actually weeds. They did that deliberately because some weeds are actually the most potent cleansing things for your body. So he takes away the rubbish, and the gardener is obviously going to throw it where there's also a lot of rubbish and dirt and muck. And thus you create the sacs of cancer, which all of the poisons in the body, the workforce in your body, the gardeners, put it into a bag, as you would do in your garden. You'd put all the rubbish into a bag. And that's the same thing as what mainstream call cancer, or at least one of them, the tumours and what's inside them. So when mainstream cuts, burns, lasers, it pours out. And coupled with opening you up, which is another way of, I believe, once you open somebody up, it's like we kind of spread, something happens that spreads even quicker then. So I've seen cancer or these bags of rubbish slowly go down and down and down, because the physical body starts to heal itself. Because what happens now is you decide to work on your garden, your whole garden, and you start to feed your whole garden with all that it needs. And when you start to feed the garden properly, then that bag can now be thrown away through the body system. So the body system will clear it. I don't know how that happens. It's kind of a miracle to me how that happens, and where it goes, I don't know. It goes out of some hole or out of the skin somewhere, but that little bag, something happens. What turns that bag into a smaller bag and a smaller bag till the bag disappears. So I don't know if it's an internal thing that your body can do, and it does do it, but I don't know how. But I see that the healing process of mind, body, and spirit, what you eat, what you don't eat, what you think about, joy, everything that you do in your body, clearing the fear, all of those things gives the rest of the body a chance to work properly. So there's something wrong if you've got cancer in your body. There's something very wrong. Because I just don't believe you can get cancer in a healthy mind, body, and soul. I don't think so. If you eat correctly, if you stay away from all the bad foods, and if you bring joy into your life and you heal by forgiveness and letting go, all of these things gives you a most beautiful body temple. If you exercise, so many things. So that's a side note. Root cause of issue, root cause of suffering, root cause of physical, everything that we do, we look at, we try and figure out. So why do I have a pain in this part of my body? What do we eat? What don't we eat? What do we do to have this trigger? How does it trigger? When does it trigger? And we look at all of that like a detective. We try and figure out why. And I found through my own experience and my clients, through my own working on myself, that sometimes I know that if I don't fix something, that it can manifest and send me crazy. And it does a lot of people, children, young children, sends them crazy. And they can self-harm, and they can harm others. And you've got to find what it is within that child that self-harms. You've got to find within you why you're so triggered by certain things. And I find that working on one thing, because you might have several, working on one thing at a time is the best way, because you're not just got one issue. You're at an age now where you've got loads, and you have to work on them every day. And again, there's nothing wrong with you. And if you think that that's you, then you will keep that issue, because it's not you. It's not your issue. It's just something that you held on to because of your life, what you've been through. So, if somebody comes to me and says, I don't know why I keep doing this, I smile and think, well, at least they're willing to acknowledge that there's something wrong. And now they're asking to heal their root cause. They need to figure out their root cause. Somebody asked me the other day, do you believe in past life regression? I think Dr. Wise wrote a book, and it was regards to his secretary that had lots of trauma and lots of, I think, illnesses, and I don't know, she had lots of issues with herself, and every time they did past life regression, she'd heal herself from an issue that she had. I'm not really somebody who goes down that path, but it's kind of, I guess, similar to what we do, because she's the past life regression is coming out and explaining what they've been through, which is a trauma of a past life. So there was a lady who came to me who had no idea why she was the way she was. And it was very, very awful. She used to scream. And it was awful. She's just scream. And I closed my eyes and put my hands over her hands, and I could see somebody who stabbed her. And I said, and I could clearly see the stab was here, just there. And I said, I can see somebody hurting you here. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, has anybody ever attacked you? And I could see it, like I could see the knife. And I'm like, I didn't say that, but I said, do you suffer there? And she said, all my life, I suffer here. And she said, I'd never known why. No doctor knows why. I'm like, okay. So I started doing healing work there and trying to heal the memory of being stabbed in a past life. And took a few months, but eventually she didn't have any pain anymore. And the reason why, I think there was quite a few reasons, but one of them was me saying, do you believe in past life? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you think you might have come back? And she said, yeah, I believe in that. And I said, well, it's funny because I saw somebody hurting you here. And she said, how did they hurt me? And I said, well, it looked like it might have been a knife or something or put there. And she says, oh my God. She says, every time I see somebody go into their bag or a man go into his pocket and pull something out, I scream. Like, you screamed with me before. And I went into my drawer and she said, yeah. She said, I just have this fear of somebody pulling something out, a knife. And I remember going into my drawer because she was there and I had my drawer and I'm getting my other cards out. And she just screamed. So anyway, these are little silly things, but there is some correlation too. Sometimes that we can have fears. We have phobias because of past life. I believe one of my past lives I drowned in ice. I went straight through into the ice. And I was with my sister at the time and she had to watch me drown. So I do have a kind of belief system in that, but I don't know anything about past life regression. Maybe I'm able to do it and didn't even realize it. But for me, it's not just of this life. You know, we do carry things, I think, through our family. And thus, I'd like to maybe kind of end on this little thought. And I do believe that we also carry some memory of our parents. I'm not going to blame our parents, but I do think that there is at times evidence that we do carry things of our parents, not the mimicking, but something deeper, something more traumatic. And it could even be their grandparents, because it could easily be passed down. It could be. I mean, you look at, I've got a little doggy, okay, my poodle. How does it know to spin around in a circle before it goes to sleep? Why does it always scratch before it lays down and spins around? You know, how does it know? Well, it doesn't need to do that. There's no grass here. There's no, nowhere where it needs to flatten anything because it's already flat, ready for you. So there is this kind of memory of past. I do believe that. But I don't focus on that as much as the root cause and here and now. And here and now, we've got enough to work upon with just the life that we have and the parents or not the parents or the parent or whatever it may be, or the partner. And we have to work on these things. And I think they do stem from childhood. I do believe that. I do really believe that a lot of it stems from childhood. However, it can stem very easily from midlife as well. So I'll give you an example. My first wife, Jackie, I never had ever a moment thought of jealousy. Not a moment's thought. Never once. And she was idolized by nearly every man that walked past us. The heads would turn. She is and was beautiful. So no, like I used to smile, and it's like, well, that's a compliment, right? It's a total compliment. We split up a while after. I still wasn't jealous at all. Even after we split up and I went out meeting a few different girls. And one particular girl I went out with, who was a air hostess, she was insanely jealous. Insanely jealous. And I was with her for about 6 months. And I found myself becoming jealous too. And it was really weird. Never had a jealous bone in my body. So I look back and realize that we can be influenced by that very negative energy, even midway through our life. So even now, working on our childhood trauma, well, guys, we've been through 2 full years of trauma. So there is a lot of space of headaches. There's a lot of space of lots of issues right now that could be the trauma of these past 2-3 years. And that's something to work on as well. I wholeheartedly believe it's either what we put in our mouth or what we don't put in our mouth, and also the cleansing and clearing of the root trauma cause, the shock energy effect, and those are the things that need to be resolved. So we need to start to look at our knee-jerk reactions, look at where the issue is on our body, and try to heal the root cause of why our body is exploding and giving us a sign to what we need to heal within the body. Because the body is not saying you're in pain. The body's saying that we need to heal this part of the body because you haven't cleansed and cleared the trauma, or you haven't cleansed and cleared your body of the food or non-food or whatever buildup is there. So I think there's, when you look at it on a level of balance, is it one or the other? I kind of say, well, why don't we tackle it as all of the above? So if I've got an issue with my knee, I'm going to look at what I can do to heal the knee, what I put into my mouth, what I don't put in my mouth anymore to stop the issue, what I can do on a healing basis to try and heal it, and utilize all that I know to try and heal and fix that area. So I like to have a wide berth when I'm working on a client, and I don't just sit That's it. That's the root cause. And I don't say, this is the answer, one answer. I try and tackle it with everything I can and do as much as I can around that area to heal it. Maybe next time part 2 should also be, now that we've talked about the root cause, is actually, was the knee the actual root cause, or did it come from somewhere else? And that's a massive subject too, because sometimes when we explode, it doesn't come from the same place as where it started. So again, root cause is very important, but sometimes we'll, just look at the knee as the root cause. If you've got a problem with your leg or your foot or your heart, and you think, okay, that's the root cause, and it's sometimes the furthest from the truth. So we have to kind of like, okay, so I've got a headache. Where's that coming from? You trace the where it's coming from, and you heal that area. And I think a good healer knows that, because if you don't tell a healer that you've got an issue, the healer will work it out for themselves. I used to get so angry when people used to tell me what was wrong with them. Don't tell me. Before they came for a healing session, I would specifically tell them to shut up as they started speaking on the phone. Please stop. Don't tell me anymore. I want to find it myself. That's my job. And if you know anybody who's ever been for a healing with me over the years, they'll tell you the same. You didn't want to know. And I didn't want to know, because I want to find it. I want to find the root cause. And when somebody used to come upstairs for a healing session, up the stairs, they couldn't walk up the stairs properly, I would just clear that out of my mind and think, I never saw that. I'll figure it out myself where the root cause is. And there were many of people who came with issues with their legs or their foot, and it was never X, never marks the spot. Never in terms of a graph of 1,000 people who came. Out of the 1,000 people came, yeah, maybe the root cause was because they fell over and they twisted their ankle, and that's the issue. But I'm talking about long-term issues that just appear, that just come. So these are things that, again, if you have an issue with yourself and it's kind of a thing that started to come into your life, don't always think, yes, you focus on that to try and heal it on one aspect, but then you need to look at the root cause to why it came, where it came from. So I put these little nuggets of truth into your life for you to think about it, because it's not always, oh my God, he's got cancer or she's got cancer. It can be any little thing that you're triggered about, or little things that hurt, or something in the body that isn't just quite right. And sometimes we neglect or choose to ignore it until it gets worse, when in actual fact you could have fixed it and there's no problem at all. I remember that when I was with Susie, my second wife, I had a pain in my chest, and I'm like, this is cancer. I can feel it. And they say that you know when you're going to die. I didn't think I was going to die, but I just felt I've got something serious here. And I'd already had a silent heart attack in Bali, so I had to be careful. I'm thinking, is it the heart attack? No, it's not the heart attack. There's something else going on here. I can feel it inside. So I took it upon myself to start to work on myself. I started looking at ways of healing myself from cancer, even though I didn't go to a doctor. I didn't need to go to a doctor. So I started saying I rejected all sugar completely. And for 7 years, rejected it and started working on my body to heal as if I had cancer. So I worked on myself, and every month got a bit better and better and better. I started eating, I came off meats, and I came off fish, and I just wanted to eat everything that Dr. Sebi talked about, Don Tolman talked about, a woman who healed herself of a brain tumor by starting to eat raw raw vegetables and so on. So I took all this information and I'm starting to utilize it. I started cleaning my body like 3 times a day with hydrogen peroxide, food grade, and things like that. Just worked on my body. Didn't really tell anybody, but I just thought, I know I need to clear this out of my body. And to this day, I've never felt any issue. And I worked on that for, 7 years. So the other thing is, when you create illness in the body or dis-ease in the body, it's because it's many years. Like I said, the root cause, it takes many years for it to come out like a volcano. The eruption of anger and negative energy and in the sense of you reacting badly, that can be instant because of the issue you've got. But I'm talking about physical now. It can take years. And everybody wants a quick fix. And there's no such thing as a quick fix to the body because the body's complicated. Yeah, you might get a miracle if you're a really strong enough believer and you really believe in it, which is placebo effect or self-healing effect. If you really believe in self-healing like I do, then you work on that, because part of what I was eating, again, everything together, I was doing the healing work on my chest. So I'd heal myself every day. So these things are vital along our journey. And I thought, it's going to be a way of life. This is my way of life. This is how I'm going to live. So some people, like, well, how long is it going to take? Well, if that's the way you're looking at it, that's really not going to be the answer to healing anything. That's like going on a diet and then going back to eating crap again and becoming bigger than you were before. You have to make the conscious decision if you want to heal yourself to say, this is a life change journey. I'm going to change my whole life. And you do it because you want to, not forced to, not pressured to, but you do it because you want to feel better. And you have to battle between the first reaction, which is, why should I? The second reaction is, I'm addicted to sugar, I'm addicted to pastries, or I'm addicted to this, and I'm angry now, and I'm disappointed, and I can't change my life because my life's going to be crap. That is going to make things worse very quickly. So it was a conscious decision to change my life and find new ways of enjoying my life in happiness with other people and new people, and staying away from the people who were horrible and nasty, changing my life and changing my the way I would eat and look for better food to digest and look to not digest certain foods that I knew weren't good for me. So these are the things that you do in a loving way because you love your body, you care for it, and it's more important than the mind and that weakness of the mind, because it is a weakness. That's a weakness of the mind, and your consciousness isn't strong enough because you're not allowing your consciousness. So the more you meditate, the more your consciousness says, well done. The more your consciousness says wonderful things and treats you wonderful, and then you realize that the mind was nothing but an illusion. And actually now you're listening to yourself, not the brain, because you're not listening to yourself when the brain's talking. You're listening to a computer. It's a tool. All it knows is what you've fed it. So you have to now change that. So in 7 years, I don't touch sugar anymore. I don't need it. Why? Because I didn't need it to begin with. And I realized it was forced upon me by the dark system deliberately, because that's what gives us sickness and illness. Sugar. It's basically pure white poison, and they know it, and they do it deliberately because it feeds the system. So when you clear that out of your body, you should be proud of yourself, and then you realize you don't need it at all. I literally don't need it, and I wondered why I even had it before, and I look back now and think, Jesus Christ, I was poisoning myself. And I truly was. I was poisoning myself. Absolutely, 100% poisoning myself. Alcohol, don't touch it now. Every now and again, just to please somebody, I might hold a glass and have a bit, but no, I think, why'd you bloody touch it? So I stay away from that. I don't touch wine or go near it. And why? Because I like feeling good. I like feeling healthy. I like to listen to my body saying thank you. That's why, what I've got here, what's inside there? Ginger, fresh ginger. The most healing drink there is, one of them anyway. And when you've gone, I'm going to drink all this down in one, all of it, because it's going to heal my stomach. So all of these things are medication. That's medication. That is real medication for the body, not tablets, not pills. That just causes more issue, more sickness, more illness, more dis-ease in the body. So we have to learn to change our life. And the life is a beautiful life once you start to change it in the right direction of Mother Nature, who gives us all what we need. And our connection to our consciousness that leads us always down safe passages, leads us to the most beautiful miracles and moments of our life, and always protects us because our consciousness knows more than anybody who tries to fool us. And that's what I'll leave us on tonight. I wish you all a lovely evening. Thanks for joining me tonight. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Food for thought, golden nuggets of wisdom that may just help change you one step at a time. There is no rush. You're here for a long time. So enjoy the journey. Don't push yourself, and just simple steps in the right direction. That's all that matters. Okay, love you all. Bye.